going over our new success story format, which we are just now rolling out. So everyone should be a little bit familiar with the fact that we do supply success stories from your program to stakeholders and various people across the state. And what we're looking at doing is changing the format of that. You know that format was rolled out not too long ago, a couple months ago, and based on some feedback that we've gotten, we've decided to alter the process a little bit. So that's what we will be going over today. I'm going to go ahead and pause everyone just for the sake of keeping a clear background while we are recording this webinar. Okay, so as I mentioned, the webinar is being recorded. I went ahead and muted you. If you do have a question that you're not able to voice because you've been muted, go ahead and type it into the webinar chat channel on Slack. Please do not use the GoToMeeting chat box since I'm not able to monitor it during the call. There will be a questions portion at the end of the call. I'll go ahead and unmute everyone at that time. But if questions come up in the meantime, feel free to go ahead and share them on Slack. Before we get started, it's always good to have a refresher of our Jobs for Michigan's Graduates mission and vision. Hopefully you are all very familiar with this by now, but if not, please take some time to commit it to memory. It's just a great thing to always have in the front of your mind as you're going about your everyday work. So as a reminder, our vision is that every young adult is educated, employed, and career-bound. And then our mission is to equip young adults with the skills to overcome barriers to win in education, employment, and as citizens. The purpose of the success stories, which will be our topic of discussion for today, is so that we have something to share the heart of our work with stakeholders, potential participants, and schools or programs who are either already participating with JMG or who may be interested in bringing JMG to their school or program. Additionally, it's just a really easy format to share the great things that are happening across the JMG network. We know there are great things going on within your programs, and having these success stories allows us a pretty simple way to share those successes with anyone who may be willing to listen. So you should be able to see on the screen now the old version of success stories that we have been using in the past. Basically, they were a page-long story, including a picture of your students or youth. What we were finding is that these were taking quite a bit of time to construct, both on your end as far as coming up with the information to send to us, and then it was quite a lengthy process to turn that information you were submitting into a story, and they were taking a long time to write. Additionally, they were just too long. I mean, it wasn't such a big deal, the formatting and putting it together, but then the end result was not being used simply because it took too long for people to read. So what we've looked at doing is a new format for this information, which you can see here. So we've already started using this format. We've taken some of our old success stories and reformatted them into this new, it's like a half sheet, which we've been using. So you can see here, it's much more visually appealing. It's a lot easier to read. It's a lot easier to gain the information that we're hoping to convey through these stories without someone having to sit down and read a 5-paragraph essay. So I want to show you just the various elements of these success stories that we'll be using, since this will be the information you will need to be supplying to us. First, you'll notice a high-quality picture of the students. The biggest feedback that we've found is that the pictures are the most important part of these success stories. It really helps whoever's reading the story to be able to visualize the impact, to be able to see an actual person that's connected to these successes. So that's a really powerful part of our success stories. Next, we'll be including an overview paragraph. So this is just a brief 2 to 5 sentences about the youth and their situation and the outcomes of that situation based on their involvement with JMG. Next, we'll have listed 4 to 6 barriers. So these will be things that the student had as issues or barriers to their success upon enrollment with JMG. They'll just be listed in a quick bullet format. And then following that, we'll also have bulleted their successes. So these will be things that happened while they were in JMG or things that have happened to them as a result of their involvement with JMG. The final element on the front of these success stories is a quote. So quotes prove to be very powerful as well. In addition to being able to see the youth and see the actual picture of the youth and then see the list of what has happened with them, to be able to see that quote and put some words to the face and be able to really visualize that student, to hear the voice of the story is really helpful. So we're looking for quotes that can either be from the youth to discuss the impact of JMG in their lives. It can be from the specialist saying something about that youth, perhaps from a manager, an employer, some other staff person. So that it's pretty broad who can provide a quote from there, just as long as it's something to show the positive impact of JMG on that youth. So now I'd like to share with you the new process. You'll recall before there was a form that you filled out. We're sticking with a similar format, but the form itself has changed. So before you actually get to the form that you need to fill out, you'll need to select who it is that you would like to highlight. So we're looking for students who are either active in follow-up or they can be an alumni as well. If you're having trouble thinking of someone, just start brainstorming some of your favorite stories about your youth, as often success stories can come from those stories. And then as I mentioned previously, we're looking for youth who have shown great success in overcoming their barriers as a result of JMG. So either JMG programming or their interaction with you or through a relationship that you were able to develop for them with an employer or with another community member. Okay, and then also keep in mind that having these youth graduate and obtaining jobs, that is an important and a great thing to highlight. But there are some other things that can translate into a success story, such as a youth's involvement with their career association, involvement with statewide events. I know several of you take your youth onto the National Student Leadership Academy in Washington, D.C., so that might be something that you could turn that experience for a youth into a success story, or perhaps some special recognitions that a student has received. So some examples could be a scholarship that they obtained or an award they received at the Career Development Conference, or any other type of recognition that somehow as a result of Jobs for Michigan's graduates. So I'm going to pause here before I go on. If anyone has any questions, now would be a great time before I get into the actual form that you need to submit. So I'm looking for any questions pertaining to who you should select for a success story, or anything about questions about the formatting that you've seen so far. Okay, if there are no questions, we'll go ahead and move on. So this is a snapshot of the document that you'll be completing for your success stories. You'll notice it is very similar in format to the forms you've used before, and that it's just boxes that you fill out, but the content you should be putting in there has been drastically simplified. So all you need to include your youth's name as well as the school or program they're participating with. And then you'll see in the first spot we're looking for a short paragraph describing their successes and a list of barriers. We're looking for at least 4, so please don't just copy and paste them from EMDMS, but list them just in a real simplified way, which you can see on the examples that are posted on Slack as well. Next is a list of successes that the youth has had. So once again, we're looking for at least 4, but up to 6. And please be as specific as possible. So don't just say, you know, they obtained a job. Please list, you know, a job in a certain field or a full-time job or their dream job, or use some sort of descriptor if you're going as simple as just to say they obtained a job. It's also important to include their current goals. So this would be whatever they're looking to do either currently or in the future pertaining to education, employment, or citizenship. And then also a quote. So as I mentioned before, from the youth themselves, from you, an employer, anyone who had a hand in the success of that youth. It is important that you include a response for each of these, as the document will be putting this into is formatted to have all these spots included, so it is important that each one is completed. You'll see once again there's a checklist at the bottom, just like on the old document. Just have you double check before you submit that all the information is complete, that you have at least one photo ready to send, and that you do have a signed media waiver or release. So please do not upload this document until you have those other supporting documents ready to be uploaded as well. We're not able to go back and check with everyone to get information that's been missing, so please just make sure it's all ready to be uploaded together once you're ready to submit a success story. So just like before, success stories, same process, will be uploaded onto Slack, onto the success story channel. Let me pull that up so you can see. Okay, so you'll see on the right side of the screen, I just indicated the success story channel, which is where you will upload your documents. So you'll upload the completed Microsoft Word document, as well as a high quality photo and media waiver. So please upload all three of those at the same time so that they're grouped together on that channel. And please also note that the picture, please upload it as a picture file, as its own upload rather than pasting it into your Word document, which compresses the picture and makes it, it lowers the quality. So please just upload it as its own file. We have posted some samples onto Slack already, so if you're curious about formatting or you want to see it a little more up close, if that would be helpful for you in determining what to submit, you can view those on the Success Story channel on Slack. Your engagement calendars have indicated that success stories are due, the next round is by Wednesday, May 31st. So you have about a month for your next round of those. And we're looking for one per specialist. And as I already stated, just go ahead and upload those onto Slack. So that is the end of my presentation. I hope that gave you a good overview of the content we're looking for success stories, the process for uploading, as well as answered any questions about what all you need to include. So I'm going to pause now. I would love to hear any questions that you have or any feedback regarding the new format. If you've heard anything from anyone about our old format or the new format, I would love to hear that. So everyone's unmuted. If you could just go ahead and share, that would be great. Okay, Charlotte's posted a question. Can we purchase a camera for the program for the high quality photos? So that would need to go through your manager for your local budgets. But you can check with them. It's really not a problem for it to even be a cell phone picture as long as it's good lighting, so that, you know, it's a straight on photo that you can see a good picture of the youth face. And Kira's going to speak to this just a little bit.
Hey everyone, I just stepped in from another meeting. Thanks for being on the call. So in terms of the pictures, some of the better pictures that we get are students at graduation day with their specialists. So that example on there of our specialist Carlos with the student Ken at graduation day is one of our favorite ones. Or students in their work uniforms, like that one of Monisha in her nurse uniform, and obviously she's with the Detroit mayor in that picture, so that's a great one. students maybe holding up a certificate that they've earned, students at the CDC with an award that they've earned. Or pictures that we tend to not use are selfies. I mean, they're great, but they just don't have a professional image that we want to reflect in these success stories. If a student is wearing something that is a little bit less professional, our students like to make silly faces or silly hand gestures. With those, we are going to be able to use in the success story pictures. So those are just some general guidelines that we can maybe type up and send out. And that goes for general pictures in general when it comes to what we post for JMG pictures. But that's like the general picture. Anything of our kids at our events, with the JMG background, at Legislative Day or Leadership Day and so on. But yeah, for the purchasing the camera, that would be something that I suggest that you talk to Daphne about, Charlotte. But we do like the high quality pictures; those are great.
Right. So high quality speaks to not only the quality of the actual camera or whatever that's used for it, but also the staging of it. So where the student is standing, what's in the background. Not a selfie taken in the bathroom with the stalls in the background, something like that. So just keep that in mind when you're taking pictures of your youth. Are there any other questions? Okay, well, thank you everyone so much for taking your time to be on the call today. If you have questions that come up, feel free to reach out to either Kara or me. The forms that you need for submitting success stories, which I really hope you guys all find this to be much more simplified, because I know on our end at least will be a lot less time consuming and a lot more simplified. So the form you can find is on the Slack channel for success stories, as well as the 2 samples that I referenced are on there as well. So any other questions, just let us know. Otherwise, have a great day. Thank you so much for calling in. And this webinar has been recorded, so it will be posted to our YouTube channel with a link shared on Slack. So have a great afternoon, everyone. Thanks for calling in.
Hi, everyone.